Hi there, Lisa Minnini here. This week, 5 business lessons learned from almost missing my flight. Well, if you've never missed a flight, then you likely spend a lot of time in the airport, and that would be me. I'm a pretty seasoned business traveler. I go to the airport early, I rarely check my bags, and I know the rules to follow to get through the security with ease. But last week, well, I learned more business lessons by almost missing a connection back home. You see, I just finished training and certifying one of my second stage businesses on understanding their hardwiring. And I had lots of time to spare to make my first flight out of a small airport in Tennessee. Well, I knew my 35-minute layover in Atlanta back home to Michigan would be a challenge, but it was important that I get home that evening. You see, my nephew, who's also my godson, was having their wedding shower the next morning, and I also needed to drive 4 hours the next morning to get there. Well, if you've ever been to the Atlanta airport, it's presently the world's largest and the busiest airport. And so here's where it gets interesting. My connection flight back home was scheduled to take off at 8:30 p.m. Well, we landed at 7:55 p.m. So, hey, I thought I've got plenty of time to make my way across the airport. However, by the time the flight got to the gate, it's now about 8:05 p.m. It was funny because we all huddled in this jet bridge, anxiously awaiting looking at our phones and waiting for our carry-ons to be unloaded. You see, it was a small plane from Tennessee to Atlanta, so we had to check our carry-ons planeside. Well, you could tell by the frequent glances at their phones or the wristwatch how many passengers had to catch their connections. Well, finally, around 8:12, boarding, by the way, had begun 15 minutes ago for my connection flight. Well, just then, I see my bag, and I snatch it up, and I look for the monitor to confirm my gate assignment. Well, one quick look around, and I realized that I was in Terminal C. My connection is in Terminal A. So once I descended from the jet bridge, I had to navigate this long escalator down to catch this people mover to the next terminal. Now, rather than waiting for the escalator to take me down, I started to quickly move down the escalator stairs until I ran into a group of people. Well, noticing my urgent need to move ahead, one nice man stepped aside so I could continue walking down the escalator stairs. However, I quickly got stopped by a flood of other passengers who happened to be on the same escalator with me. Business lesson number 1. Even with your best laid plans, there will be barriers to moving ahead. Practice patience. Well, as we both kind of shrugged, seeing that I couldn't move ahead, I just waited. And I finally got to the platform to witness the people mover's doors close. Time was ticking. It's now about 8:15. So I looked down this very long hallway, and then I looked to my right, and I saw a pilot there. And I thought to myself, gee, would it be faster if I run to the next terminal or wait for the people mover? Well, figuring that pilot likely navigates the airport frequently, I asked him if he knew how long until the next train would be there. Oh, in the next couple of seconds, he said, and we exchanged some pleasantries, and he assured me that I would make my flight. And sure enough, in a few seconds, the next people mover came, and I hopped on board. Business lesson number 2, ask your resources for help in solving problems. So it's now about 8:20, and I'm going from Terminal C. I'm on my way to Terminal A, and every second counts. The doors open to Terminal B, and then the doors close. There's a slight pause, and it seemed like an eternity before it took off again. And the recorded voice calmly says, Terminal A was next. Well, finally, Terminal A. But before the doors were fully open to Terminal A, I scurried off, and I see similar escalators back up to the gates. And just then, 2 passengers cut in front of me and scaled the empty escalator stairs to the very top of the escalators. Now, seeing that I could save some time too by doing the same thing, I put my glasses around my neck, had my purse draped across my body, picked up my carry-on, and I started to hop 2 steps at a time up the escalator stairs. Now by this time, it's 2 at a time, and when I'm almost to the top, I realize just how heavy I was breathing, and in that moment, I was so thankful that I'd start working out weeks earlier. Business lesson number 3, you must serve yourself to sustainably serve others. Business leaders often serve themselves last, making exercise their last priority, and it's important to take time to be a fit leader. For the times that you need to really rely on that little extra energy to get through the challenging times. Now, just as I get to the top of the escalator and I think, great, I'm in Terminal A, now for Gate 34, I turn the corner to see Gate 19. Well, breathing rather heavy now from scaling the escalator stairs, I looked down the hallway and said, seriously? Well, I immediately got into action. I put the wheels down on my carry-on and began jogging down the hallway, navigating the other travelers. Now, while jogging in a suit, dress shoes, and my carry-on trailing on my side, it occurred to me that I hung my glasses around my neck. So I touched them to see if they were still there. And in that moment, I heard a voice say, "Your glasses are still there." Wait. He's talking to me. I whipped around to see this gentleman smiling and gave him a big grin and a wave to say thanks. Business lesson number 4. Notice the humor on the journey. So here I am jogging down the hallway, Gate 22, 23, 24, breathing pretty heavy at this point. Come on, Gate 34. And I went from a jog to a fast walk, back to a jog, Gate 30, 31, 32, Gate 33. I'm almost there. The gate's still open, legs don't fail me now. I scooped the boarding pass from my purse. I handed it over to the agent, saying, I made it. I made my way down the jet bridge, turned the corner to the plane, find room for my carry-on luggage, and dropped to my seat. Now, by this time, sweat is pouring down my face, and a few moments later, I see 2 women get on the plane, they close the gates, and we take off. And I think to myself, I made it! Business lesson number 5, your possibility is a possibility until it's not. When your goals are clear and meaningful, your decision-making becomes easy and you have added incentive to be in action. Well, the next day we drove 4 hours to be at my nephew and his fiance's wedding shower, which was simply lovely. And it's those special, special moments that really make life fulfilling. And along the way, you'll learn some important lessons. I'm Lisa Minnini. Until next week. Create a great life. Bye now.